Batman and Robin, Year 1, Issue 8, Mark Waid writing with Chris Samnee on the art. So this one has yet to fail or disappoint me in any way. This one is just really good stuff. It starts off with Batman and Dick playing tennis together, and it kind of intercuts with oh, sorry, they're not playing tennis. Sorry, I think. See, when I first read this, I think I took this as them playing tennis in their downtime, but the next page reveals that it's not them. And it's all just because that panel in the middle of the first page, that looks like Bruce behind the net. And if you told me that's young Dick's legs in the foreground, I think I'd believe you. It has that vibe.
He is wearing the pixie shorts at this point, so he's known for showing leg. So you get it. But you got taken just like they did, because they're going after these people that they think might be Batman, right?
That's true. That could be an intentional misdirect, because the whole premise of this issue is that the file that Two-Face ended up with from Gordon's safe is a list of potential Batman and Robin suspects, which Batman's pretty pissed about. But the Grimraldi family are going after all of the names on the list to hopefully kill Batman and Robin. So they are coming after these characters, and Batman and Robin show up, of course, and take care of them. The big thing that happens here, though, is that Robin disarms a guy who points a gun at him, and he catches the gun and points it back at the guy, and Batman steps in immediately and hits it out of Robin's hand and says, "No guns." And Dick, who I'm inclined to believe, says, "I wasn't going to, I was just scaring him." But Batman's very explicit, no circumstances, we do not, you disarm. And in a rare case here, I'm going to say, you know what, Mark? I didn't mind the Perils panel because it fit the moment. It was relevant to what he was saying to Dick. So for once, I'm not annoyed. Earned. Yes, for once, I'm not annoyed at the quick couple of panels of the Perils and the Waynes lying dead in the alleyway with a young Bruce sitting over them.
You know, I have PTSD about that, right? Like, anytime I see the Pearls, immediately. I didn't realize what we were seeing until I got to the end, because I was so into the story, because it makes sense for it to land here. This is what, issue 8? Right? And we're doing this year 1. Of course we were going to reference it at one point, but the way that it comes here, it's the reason why Batman's so against guns, you know, and we're getting it through his mindset, this reminder of why. So just thematically, of course it's going to happen right here. And they're done in real small panels, too. It's not like Tony's going out of his way to completely retell the Batman origin. They're in these little slivers, you know, and they're alternating with, you know, Bruce talking to Dick. So, yeah, everything's completely earned. This is one of the rare times I have no problem seeing the Pearls.
Yeah, they're quick flashes as Batman's yelling at Dick. That's all it is. And notably the art style, which, I mean, it's kind of Samnee's art style anyway, but I thought the panel of Joe Chill looked very like a panel from year 1 in the way it's drawn, with the sort of the shadow looking like a mustache almost on the face. Yeah. That's very Batman year 1, I thought. So nice touch there.
And the way that Chill's running away in the back, he's all bathed in red. That's another, feels like it's from year 1. So
yeah, so Batman goes to Gordon and confronts him about this file, and Gordon kind of, you know, fesses up about it, and says, "Look, I do trust you, and that's the reason why that file has been closed for months. Like, you know, I've not been adding to that. That was something that was naturally happening early on, but I'm not looking into it anymore. Like, it's done. But hey, you kept it regardless. We have to, like, you know, these people are now targets because of this list. We have to do something about it." And the Gordon's like, "Okay, I'll put police protection on everyone, blah, 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 blah." Interestingly, though, at the end of the scene, Batman points out a picture of Barbara on the desk, and it's and Barbara's about Dick's age in the photograph, because she's meant to be a couple of years older. So he's like, "Hey, like, this kid, you know, like, you know, is she well behaved?" And Gordon just cracks a joke about it, depending on who you ask. And Gordon's like, "Wait, are you having trouble at home?" And Batman's like, "Trouble's a stretch. Robin's a good kid, but, like, how the hell do I know if I'm being a good parent? And he's like, you don't really know. It's a process. It was a nice kind of like human moment between them, talking about having kids that just felt very, very human, in between the all the Batman-y investigation stuff that we're doing.
Yeah, I like it's a goal. It's not a goal, it's a process. And he's like, but the way you think, of course, you tend to be more focused on the former than the latter. And I was like, God, this is why I like Mark Waid. He gets these little things, right? Of course, Bruce is going to be concerned about, Dick turning out to be a good kid and that he's not focused on the process of teaching him, right? It's all about getting him to that point where he can, be an asset and help and do what's right for the city, and not the, hey, we got to learn. Maybe, it makes Bruce think, maybe I shouldn't have yelled at him in that way, And I think I think that really nails.
That's the key thing that I think that spurs this on, is Batman feeling like, oh wait, did I overreact to what I did before? Did I yell at him when I shouldn't have? And that's like him kind of coming to like the one father that he knows to like that he can maybe even possibly ask for advice. Like, yeah, he can talk to Alfred, and Alfred did raise him technically, but like it's a bit different to just having your own kid at that age. So yeah, interesting stuff. Also, I'm continuing to love Grimraldi and the way he treats his father. The bit here where he's like, oh, go get my father's favorite meal. I love watching him wish he could eat it. Is such a evil thing to do.
you want to hear my theory of how this is going to play out? Is that Two-Face is going to take the form of the dad, and then he's going to stand up, and that's the last time we see Grimaldi.
You mean Clayface?
So it's going to happen. Yeah, Clayface is going to take the form of the dad.
No, but you said Two-Face.
Oh, I meant to say Clayface.
Yeah, I was
sorry.
Because I was like, wait, why would Two-Face? I'm like, I think he means Clayface.
No. Yes, Clayface. I probably cut out and you just heard the face part. But Clayface is going to take the form of the dad, and whatever's going to happen. And Grimaldi's going to be sitting there crossed, and the dad's going to get up out of the chair and take him completely by surprise. At least that's how I think thematically, because he is too much of a grade A D-bag, right? For this to have no consequence. But yes, he's delightfully evil.
I'm sure I made this comparison when we first sort of really introduced this, the old dad character sitting in the chair not being able to do anything. But there's a lot of Breaking Bad Uncle Tito vibes. He's just missing the bell, but the way that he's just grimacing on his face that he can't do anything about it, and that feeling, this anger that he can't act upon, just has given me a lot of those feelings.
Was it Tio Hector?
Hector, that's it. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Boom.
Anyway, the next chunk is basically a murder attempt on Bruce Wayne, but Clayface is actually pretending to be Bruce, and goes off to the house to check on Dick. I will admit that the start of this scene I did think was a little confusing. Because I wasn't really I think there wasn't enough context at the start of the scene of who was supposed to be here to begin with, that I didn't even really clock that there was a second Bruce Wayne, because I didn't really understand who was who. But once it kind of started to play out, I'm like, okay, I get what's happening here. Clayface is pretending to be Bruce, and he's left some men to kill, finish Bruce off. But Alfred and Bruce, take care of them, and notably Bruce tries to make it look like he's a coward, so that Alfred's the one doing the fighting, so that no one suspects that he's actually Batman. The fun part here, though, is Clayface as Bruce going into the house and saying hello sport or whatever to Dick, and Dick kind of noticing that he's acting kind of too nice and intentionally testing him by asking him a question that reveals that he clearly isn't Bruce Wayne, because he just kind of tries to play. He tries to play along with what Dick says, and it's clearly just a bunch of bullshit. So Dick tries to call for Bruce or whoever to tell them, and fake Bruce here turns into Clayface and grabs the phone. So we get some Clayface monster action of him chasing Dick around the house and Dick sliding under a desk and all the rest of it. I think what I really liked about this is that it kind of was proving the conversation that Batman had with Gordon just a little bit ago, which is this idea that Dick is very resourceful, he is a good kid, and he clocked this right away. But although that said, they play it for a little dark, dry laugh when Bruce is like, how did you know it wasn't me? He's like, he was too nice. Like, that was a funny line, and kind of rang true.
And I love the question that he asks him is about the bullies. And then Clayface Bruce is like, we'll get you enrolled in some self-defense classes. I'll have Alfred look into it. He goes, nope. I mean, no, sir. Right? So, like, that whole point, he instantly knows something's up. So I did like that part.
Smart enough to test them. Also, before we get to, like, the aftermath, there's a lot of Batman and Clayface fighting. And Batman kind of wins because he has some liquid nitrogen capsules on his belt that he's prepared just for Clayface. And he's very pleased to see that they work because it actually kind of like freezes off a bit of Clayface's arm. So they've got a sample that they can test. So that's a cool thing. But Clayface does have to run away. He runs away with like part of an arm missing because he wasn't prepared for this.
Shattered.
And it's like, okay, so we've now got like a weapon we can use against Clayface. Let's see what we can do against Grimaldi and his various monsters. And I love how, again, and how in shadows all of Batman is when he's talking to Alfred and Dick in this scene at the end of this. Anyway, the issue ends with Clayface coming home and Two-Face is sitting there waiting for him and says that they're going to be working together. So says the coin. Which maybe leads into what you were saying about maybe Two-Face or Clayface is going to impersonate Grimaldi's father, just because right now Clayface here is working from Grimaldi, but if Two-Face is starting to weasel his way in and maybe make him switch to Two-Face's side, where does that lead? That seems to be what this is kind of starting to tease at the end here.
It's doing that whole thing that Loeb hits at in Long Halloween of the freaks versus the regular mobsters. Right? And the freaks end up needing to stand together. So the fact that the way that Grimaldi talks down to Clayface, despite him being this, ultimate resource that he can impersonate anybody, get into anywhere they need to go, and whatever, he still talks down to him because he's the guy, he's the general, he was or whatever he was, whatever his rank was, the captain. Yeah, regardless, you know my point. And that's how it is. Whereas Two-Face, he's one of the freaks, right? And they're gonna take the town for themselves. And I just see that this is the point where, Clayface makes that turn, right? And he's playing the sides, but ultimately for Two-Face. So yeah, a lot of fun. I love seeing Big Monster Clayface trudging through Wayne Manor. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's good fun. I dig the sort of pulpy kind of monster stuff whenever it dips into it with the Clayface in this book. Just the further we go through it, we're 8 issues in, we're 2/3 through, and it does feel like one of those books where you'll hand someone a Batman Year 1, you'll hand them a Long Halloween, a Dark Victory maybe, and I think you'll hand them Batman and Robin Year 1 now as like, hey, here's another basically filling in an essential part of Batman history in the continuity of like, here's Batman and Dick's first like 6 months together, like getting to know each other and becoming a better team because of it, kind of thing. So, no, cool. What are you giving Batman and Robin Year 1?
I'm gonna give this a 9.
Yeah, hard to fault. I think I'm going to dip it to an 8.5 just purely because I do think the start of that car crash, like the life attempt on Bruce, is a little confusing. Like it takes a couple of pages before I kind of sorted, okay, this is what's actually happening here, and this is Clayface is here, and this he's not really Bruce. They think they've hit him with a car. I think it's just a little confusing, but otherwise I loved everything else in this issue, and I'm super excited to see where we're going now, getting into the third act, as it were.